Good morning and happy Tuesday. So first thing I wanted to do is show you where some copies of notes and some study materials will be located. So the world history material, there's a folder here. It says world history study materials. If you click on that, it takes you to this folder. I'll be adding different things as we learn. Here's unit notes, and they will be organized by unit, and we're currently in unit 0. So you will see that the activities that we complete, the answer keys will be posted here so you can come back and check your answers in the event that you missed something during e-learning. Okay, so now you know where to find copies of the class notes for world history. I wanted to go over the assignment that is due today by the end of the day. So if we go into our world history folder, and it should be in your upcoming onto the side because it hasn't happened yet. Okay, so it looks like we have this due. It looks like we have a world history Zoom meeting on Tuesday as well. But so this was the assignment that you should have started yesterday during class, because that's the expectation. Okay, so here's the document that we opened yesterday, and we should have already completed. I saw a lot of people that were skipping this question right here, and it says, as we discussed before, there are 5 main characteristics that a civilization share. And remember the acronym that we discussed, that was ANTS, can't, take, slick, rice. ANT stood for advanced cities. CANT stood for complex institutions. TAKE stands for technology. SLICK was specialized workers, and RICE was for record keeping. Okay, so the next section of this activity came directly from this map. So all of the questions 1 through 10 came directly from this map. Let me know if you have any questions on those. And then the next section that you should have been able to have completed during class was to watch these 3 videos. So remember that during the Neolithic era, remember Neo means new. During that era, people stopped being nomadic. They stopped wandering and roaming and following migration patterns in order to find their food and water. So once they were able to stop and lay roots down somewhere, literally, they are growing crops, they are domesticating certain animals, and then they had to modify or change things depending on the environment that they decided to settle down in. So here are 3 different ways that newer civilizations have had to adapt to their environment. The first one was about irrigation, and that's in ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia, and how they found a ways around or solve the problem dealing with irrigation. This is terrace farming in China, and China is very mountainous in some areas here. So they had to solve that problem by digging into the mountain this way so that they were able to plant, because you can't plant on steep hillsides because erosion will occur. And here's some things that happened with the mud brick making, in how a modern day mud brick maker makes bricks, and it's not very different than how they were actually using early techniques in Egypt, Mesopotamia, and in Indus River Valley civilization. So you have a question there based on those 3 videos, and here's the part that we're going to go together over as a class for study skills today. Okay, so this section is on Hammurabi in Babylon. So the Babylonian Empire was located in the ancient civilization of Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia, like we learned the other day, is located in modern-day Iraq. So here is a map, and it shows the Babylon territory upon Hammurabi's rise. So Hammurabi is a king at that time, and he was the sixth king of Babylon, actually. So we're going to examine the map on the right and then respond to the questions. Map: which geographic feature are most Babylon cities located near, and why? So let's take a look at this map of Babylonia. So here's Babylon here, and I see that there are these blue squiggly lines everywhere, and we know that blue squiggly lines on a map represent that those are rivers. So which geographic feature are most Babylonian cities located near? They are located near rivers. because of freshwater supplies. Later, we'll also learn that rivers were also used to create boundaries or kind of support and protection from your enemies later. Question 2. Did Hammurabi's territory grow or shrink by 1750 BCE? So remember, BCE is what we're calling like before written record. So remember, it kind of like year 0 starts after written record. So it would be, this is what we're talking about before. So kind of, you got to think of like math on a number line and think of 0, anything to the left of that is negative. So which one of these two negative numbers is closest to 0? So if we were looking at these at a number line, 1750 BCE would be closer to year 0, meaning that it is the one that happened later. So you can see the territory, it expanded from here in 1792, and then it expanded all the way out here to 1750. So did Hammurabi's territory grow or shrink? And we knew that it grew. And it says, what strategies may Hammurabi use to cause this change in territory? And this is where you are going to come up with your own idea. Do you think maybe he was a cruel king and he took lots of territories and was a military leader? Do you think he was peaceful and created territories? Whatever you think, go from there, and we will talk more about Hammurabi down here. All right, so the known history of Babylon. So begins with its most famous king, like we talked about, whose name is Hammurabi, and he was the 6th king of Babylon. He made diplomacy, and here over here it says diplomacy is the practice of negotiating with other nations or internal affairs as an important part of his administration. He was so effective at diplomacy and war that by 1755 BCE, he had united all of Mesopotamia under the rule of Babylon. At this time, Babylon was the largest city in the world. He created a powerful empire by extending Babylon's control over Mesopotamia through a series of wars against neighboring kingdoms. He was an efficient ruler. He created stability after turbulent times and transformed disconnected city-states into an empire that spanned the Fertile Crescent of Mesopotamia. Hammurabi's law codes are also a well-known example of the many policies he implemented to maintain peace and encourage prosperity. Other policies, including enlarging and heightening the walls of the city and the great public work projects such as building temples and canals. So we're going to read, we just did, and identify 3 ways that Hammurabi used Mesopotamia to consolidate power or to create stability. All right, so first up here, the first thing that I saw is that he was good in international affairs. So he was effective at diplomacy. And we also know that diplomacy means negotiating with other nations. So we can say he was effective at diplomacy. All right, that's one reason why Hammurabi could successfully consolidate so many different areas into one big nation. All right, so let's continue to remember what we read. He had united all of Mesopotamia under one Babylonian rule, and at this time, Babylonian was the largest city. He created an empire by extending Babylonians' control over Mesopotamia through a series of wars. So, coming down here, he was also effective because he gained territory by wars, say something like that. So he was very effective at coming in and taking the neighboring kingdoms. He was also an efficient ruler. He created stability after turbulent times and transformed disconnected city-states. So we can say that he was a great leader and created stability. And we know that he created stability by creating the law codes, like a unification of, we need to calm the chaos. Everyone has rules. We'll later find that Hammurabi's code was all that fair, but at least it was a start at the first written law code, and 3 reasons why Hammurabi was possibly effective in consolidating the power in Mesopotamia.